The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio via Zoom, we have our good friend Mike Sapraicone. Thanks so much for being on the program. Oh. Yeah, there you go. It was good last time you were in. Well, you were in the area all weekend, weren't you?
I was in Western New York, the Southern Tier, all day Saturday. I teamed up with Nick Langworthy, our great congressman from that area, and we hit about every place we could throughout the Southern Tier in Western New York.
Oh, he does a great job. How was it hanging out with him all day? Fun?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Once in a while, I got to talk in front of him. Sometimes I got to follow him. So always a good learning experience. No one does it better than Nick up there.
No. And how's things been going in the campaign? Last time we talked, I can't believe it's already here. Last time we talked, you were at the Chemung County Fair. Here we are a day before Election Day.
Well, it's been going great. We've been all over the place. I started out Wednesday evening in Nassau County for a rally for the Nassau County candidates with Speaker Mike Johnson.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So talking about how important the House is this year and what we need to do here in New York. And then we followed that up Thursday by going up to Rockland to speak up there. And then we wound up in Greene County on Friday talking about Mark Marinaro's race over in Greene County.
That's a tight one, right? That's a real close one.
It's a real close one, and it just shows how important New York State is to the House of Representatives, and that's why Speaker Johnson was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then we left Greene and headed out to Buffalo. We did something early Saturday morning with Congressman Langworthy, and then did the tour till about 8:30 at night. Let me tell you something. I thought I was an endless kind of guy, could work all day. Nick was out there everywhere, just driving around and talking to everybody and shaking hands.
Yeah.
And then yesterday we kind of finished up by going to Delaware County for another rally there and then heading back to Nassau. And in about another hour or two, I'll be up in Westchester County.
Oh, okay.
Having a press conference with Mike Lawler. So I'm having a great time, and I told you that last time, Frank. The issues are basic, right? The issues are simple. It's about cost of living and what it costs on Thanksgiving Day this year compared to last year and the year before.
Right.
It's about crime and illegal immigration. And we know that I tie them together, okay? And look at the terrible things. I'm going to speak at a press conference in Westchester about a terrible murder that happened with an illegal immigrant who killed his girlfriend's son last week. And so these are things that have to be stopped. We have the right to have food on our table and be able to live okay and be able to work one job and provide for our family. We have the right to be safe in our homes and to be safe on our streets. And we have the right to be hardworking legal immigrants in this country.
Right.
And that's what our parents have done, our grandparents have done, and we spoke about this before. But not to have illegal immigrants come into this country and commit crimes. And I said this to my opponent last week in a debate up in Albany. Yeah. I said, I admired her, and I said I praised her for the great work she's done with sexual assault victims, especially in the military. But how in good conscience can you expect, after allowing close to 20,000 convicted murderers and rapists into this country over the last several years, and she's the main player in this terrible crisis, how could she expect New Yorkers to trust her, yet alone re-elect her? Right. And she had no answer for that.
You did a great job on the debate, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
But you mentioned that. What do you think? Now, you're running against Gillibrand, so this is obviously somebody different. But what did you think about Governor Hochul's recent comments that if you vote Republican, you're anti-American, anti-woman, et cetera?
Yeah, I'm so sick of all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Come on, how can you say that? Half the country voted for Donald Trump 4 years ago. And now, Biden's called us garbage, okay? Clinton called us despicable.
Right.
8 years ago. How can you even have the gall to say this? And what is she doing?
Yeah.
She's splitting this state and this country. She's making a great divide along with her and Harris. It's time it stops. Listen, we got to get down to reality. 4 years ago, were we better today than we were 4 years ago? In any category, no. Except for maybe having less money. Okay? So we certainly have less money now than we did 4 years ago.
Right.
But it's out of control. She's the governor of the state of New York. Are you kidding? Think about what you say before you speak, okay? That's we teach that to our kids.
Right.
Okay? How do you say terrible things like that? It's appalling.
Well, isn't it something about her desperation? Because she obviously did so poorly last time when it came to the House, right? And they lost the House because of the job that she did. So she's out there trying to be kingmaker, but she just doesn't have it.
Right? Pelosi beat her up last time
I know.
for not being able to win, and she's not going to win this time.
No.
Let me tell you, she's not going to win this time.
No.
We're going to keep the House, and it'll be right here in New York State. We're going to, Donald Trump will win the presidency come Wednesday morning when you wake up. We may know late Tuesday. Okay? This thing could be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to surprise everybody because nobody in this country, nobody thinks that New York is going to be the state that's going to turn the United States Senate. And when we wake up on Wednesday morning, we're going to have the first Republican senator in over 25 years right here in New York State. And I promise you, Frank, I will be the senator for every single person in this state. I don't care what affiliation you have. I care about this state. I care about this country. And listen, I've been an endless worker my whole career as a police officer, as a detective, and as a business owner. I've got a lot of energy and a lot of years to do this, and I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
When you've been on the campaign trail, has there been anything that's kind of surprised you?
I don't know if it's a surprise, but everybody's saying to me, who are you running against? Who are you running against? What's his name? Is it Chuck?
Yeah.
And I say, no, it's not Chuck. It's the other senator. Well, what's his name? I say, her name is Kirsten Gillibrand.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of her.
Yeah.
But you know what? I told you this before, and I say this all over the campaign trail. As an ex-detective, if you put her in a lineup, you can't pick her out.
No, that's true.
And part of that reason is she's become a Washington politician. And she no longer cares about what's going on here in New York State, about the people who elected her, okay, the people that put her there 3 times. And so it's embarrassing. When I talk to people, they haven't seen her.
No.
They haven't, especially after she ran for president in 19.
That's
no
right.
one's seen her at all.
Yeah.
You need a representative that's going to talk to you, that's going to listen to the constituents, that wants to have a conversation with you and wants to understand what your needs are. And you know me, I could talk for hours.
Right.
But I did learn to listen as a school board president in Long Island, and it's important to listen. There's something going on in this state and in this country, and you can feel it. I was at the rally with the president back in the early summer or late spring in the Bronx.
Oh, yeah.
I was with him in Nassau County in September, and I was with him last week in Madison Square Garden. These are like being in high school watching pep rallies.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Football, right? He likes to chat. He's a bigger chatter than I am, okay? But when he's on point, he's on point. And when he's focused and when he talks issues, it's common sense. That's all it is. And everybody in this state wants common sense.
Right.
I don't care what party you belong to. Everybody here, these are New York issues and American issues. They're not Democrat, Republican, conservative issues. They're New York issues. And that resonates with people. I always I'm a cop guy, so that's important to me. But people aren't aware that in the last 7 years in this state, between Cuomo and Hochul's parole commissioners, they've released 42 cop killers.
Wow.
42 cop killers, murderers, assassins of law enforcement in this state alone.
Wow.
It's unacceptable. The governor thinks that people deserve a second chance. How about those families who never got a second chance? How about those children who grew up without a father or a mother? How about every time those families have to go in front of that parole board, they have to relive that terrible, terrible day or night when their husband or wife or father or brother or son or mother was killed? Not fair. And we can't allow that. It's not acceptable.
Well, isn't it much like bail reform, too, where they've created victims that didn't need to be victims? Do you know what I mean? I mean, think of how many people have been victimized numerous times because of these failed public safety policies of this administration.
Well, someone accused me of why am I so concerned about bail reform and bail laws and cashless bails. I'm going to be a United States Senator. Right. You can't be a United States Senator for the people of New York if you don't care about the problems and issues going on in the state. It makes no sense. But it goes back to my opponent who wants to talk about all the federal things she's done. Well, that's important. But what's important is dealing with New York and holding New York responsible. They didn't bring anybody to talk about this. When Cuomo decided to change this years ago, he based everything on the legislators, okay? They knew everything. There were no police commissioners. There were no sheriffs. There were no district attorneys. There were no law enforcement brought to the table to discuss this. And people don't realize we're looking at a recidivist situation.
Right.
We don't have 10,000 crimes with 10,000 criminals. Right. And again, I'm making up numbers. We have 10,000 crimes with 300 criminals.
Right.
The same criminals are committing these crimes, and they're just going through the wheels of justice, in and out of the revolving doors. I learned 40 years ago when I became a cop, criminal justice, it's justice for the criminal, okay? And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing.
It's interesting you mentioned that so many people don't even really know that Gillibrand is our senator. And I got to thinking, I saw a couple of her ads, so you must have her nervous, right? She's putting the ads out. And it was kind of a shock to remember at that point that she is our senator. She's so quiet except for this time of year.
Well, I think she spent somewhere near 10 to 12 million dollars over the course of 4 weeks. But it's all about people in front of politics. That's what she says. And I question that, because you have to know the people,
right,
to put them in front of the politics.
Right.
She doesn't know the people, and they don't know her. And I would say, I'm not saying she's running scared, but I'll certainly say, Frank, that she's certainly concerned, and rightfully so, because I think there's going to be a big surprise come 2 more days from now.
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, she's not looking to just waste money, right? There's a reason why she's spending that money, and she must feel that you are, at the very least, nipping at her heels, right?
I would think so. And we had a little bit of a toe-to-toe thing in the debate, if you remember, where she said to me, let me explain to you, I'm the senator, and this is the way it is. And I said, well, that's maybe for the next 2 weeks or so, Senator. Right. That could all change in a few weeks. Right. I got a few laughs in the crowd. But listen, I think she's certainly aware this is a race.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we've worked really hard. All the candidates always work hard. But I think getting my name out there and not being a guy who's ever done this before, just being a detective and a business owner, I think people are resonating with, hey, this guy's got a shot here.
Right.
Every place I go, people are hey, you're that guy Mike the cop guy, right? You're that guy Mike the cop. Yeah. People are starting to recognize me. I'm surprised. I went into a store the other day and someone said, hey, aren't you that senator guy? And I said, in a few more weeks I will be. And they smiled, they want to shake your hand. I'm getting a great reception everywhere I go in the state. I did not expect that.
Right. How many miles do you think you put on your car?
Oh, about 32,000.
Is that right?
Just to guess a little bit. And that's in the last 6.5, 7 months.
Wow.
But I've gotten such great receptions from everywhere. And even when I hear people say, I'm not going to talk to you because you're a Republican, because when I start my spiel, I am Mike Sapraicone, I'm the Republican conservative candidate for the United States Senate. Sure. I'm not talking to you. And I just say, okay, well, all right, let's just have a conversation. Yeah. Do you know who I'm running against? Yeah, Chuck. No. And then we go from there. And I'm really happy that most people will say, I'll say at the end, after I give my spiel and I talk a little bit to them and tell them about what I've done in my past and what I plan to do in the future, they'll say, well, we'll look you up. Oh. We'll read about you. That's a win.
Oh, yeah.
Yet somebody who told me they wouldn't even talk to me 5 minutes ago because I'm a Republican or a conservative, to have them say, well, we'll look you up, and then shake my hand. Yeah. And tell me their first names. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Have you found anybody able to defend Gillibrand when you've had conversations? Has anybody been able to say, no, she's really good at X, Y, or Z?
I've heard some people say she's just been really good to us, and I say, how?
Yeah.
Because she's been our senator for so long. And I say, okay, I get it, for so long, but you can't even tell me what she's done. No. And I think because she follows Schumer's coattails so much that she isn't out there. No. It matter even if she was, and she's not. Everybody only talks about Schumer. Right. And I look forward. I got to tell you, I look forward to getting down to Washington and saying to Schumer, hello, Senator Schumer, how are you? I'm Mike Sapraicone. I'm the new senator from New York State, and we need to sit down and work together to do what the people of New York State want. And if you can't go along with that program, Senator, then you're going to have a big issue in 4 more years, and you're going to have a big issue with me, because I'm going to do whatever I can for everybody in this state. And I look forward to that, and we'll see how that goes. But again, I'm excited.
That'll be a fun conversation. What was it that led you to decide to run? Because as you said, you haven't done this before, and this isn't easy.
Well, I think it's easier than being a cop.
Oh, well, that's true.
I did that for 20 years, and I love that. Well, I think public service is important. We've talked about, I'm on a lot of different boards, from school boards to charity boards and different boards, hospital boards, museum boards. I think it's important to have a seat at the table and bring something to the table. And in business for years and years, I was able to bring my clients together for best practices. I'm concerned about this country for my children, my 5 children and my 5 grandchildren. and everybody says it's the most important election. They're all important elections. But this is not about left and right. This is about right and wrong. This is about common sense. This is about the ability to think and stop restricting us as Americans, as citizens. The Constitution is not for the government to restrict us. It's for us to keep an eye on the government.
Right.
That's what we need to do in this country. I just think this is a great opportunity. New York is the greatest state in the nation. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a New York kid, born and bred. To have this platform and to let it sit down like the last 15 years and not stand up and speak up, both representatives in this state is wrong. We need to do that. One-party system is not working here in this state, and Lee Zeldin showed that 2 years ago.
Right.
He set the foundation for me to win tomorrow, okay? I think we'll have a great victory at the presidency tomorrow. We'll keep the House of Representatives. We'll be the seat to turn the Senate, and we will start to turn New York State. Because when I win tomorrow and Trump wins this state, and I think he believes he can win this state. It might have looked better with Biden, but I think Biden was a better candidate than Harris is. So I think he'll win this state. We'll shock everybody tomorrow. And then 2 years from now, we'll be putting up a candidate for the United States, for the New York's governor. And we'll shock this state. And we will bring New York State back to the great prosperity, the great common sense, and great leadership. I mean, we have such great leadership here. So those are important things. And how do you not want to be part of that?
Right, that's true.
How do you not want to be part of that?
That's true. How was it at Madison Square Garden?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
You know, I've been to the Garden for Knicks games,
Oh, sure.
games, college basketball games my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm a Queens kid. It was great. It was just great. It was exciting. The crowd outside was amazing.
Yeah.
NYPD did a great job, as always. I mean, I'm biased, but they did a great job. The crowds were just crazy. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It looked fun. I was disappointed because I watched, of course, when it was happening, and I was disappointed with the way that the media tried to relabel it. As you know how it is when you walk away feeling something, and then you say, "Wait a minute, they're telling me the complete opposite. What happened here? What am I missing?"
Well, they do it all the time.
Yep.
They do it all the time. It's so interesting. You turn on one channel and you listen to a story, and you turn on another channel and you say, "Is that the same story?"
I know.
Was I at that place? Did I just listen to this or that?
Yeah.
We've got to stop this. You know, this is not unifying this country. We need to unify this country. You know, we certainly all do have more in common than we think.
I agree.
You know, growing up, when I grew up, no one ever asked me if I was a Democrat or a Republican.
Yeah.
So when people do ask that now, I love to say I'm an American, because that's what I am, and that's what I will always be. You know, it's important to have an affiliation, I think, but it's important to bring common sense and work together with people. Why can't you work with people? Most people, when you sit down and talk to them, they want to engage. They want to have a conversation. Some people want to just talk and want you to listen. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes they just need a place to go to express their feelings because nobody is listening to them.
Right.
I'm okay with that. I can listen for hours.
Right.
Okay. Well, my kids tell me I'm not good at that, but I think I am. But I mean, these are the important things: common sense, getting together with people, representing the people that elect you. You know, Gillibrand is concerned about wanting to be the person in the Senate, the Democratic leader in the Senate, to go out there and get more senators, to raise more money to get more Democratic senators throughout this country. Well, why aren't you worrying about your state?
Right.
Let's start off with the state. Let's worry about, you know, she wants to reimagine ICE, Frank. And how about reimagining New York State? How about reimagining what's going on here in the state? How about stopping the governor from sending $5 billion downstate to get credit cards, debit cards?
It's unbelievable.
Right, for the illegal immigrants. What about our veterans who are homeless, who are sleeping on the street? What about our homeless people? There's a problem there. We need to solve those problems before we go solving the rest of the problems. And then you talk about leadership in this country. You know, I spent 4 days in Israel back in September, and I visited the southern border because I think it's important before you speak on those issues to try to understand them, not just talk off the top of your head.
Right.
And we need to support Israel. Israel is not just fighting for Israel, they're fighting for America. Anybody who thinks what happened on October 7th in 2023 couldn't happen here
Right.
is blind, is not paying attention. We've had so many people of fighting age come into this country that we don't even know where they are. We can't locate them. We don't have a plan for illegal immigration, so we can't have a plan B because we don't have a plan A. But that's what this government does. We jump. We pander to our bases. We worry about that. We don't worry about what we need to do here before we jump into projects. Let's think about things. And this is what I've spoke about in my debate the other night also. There's a lot of things we have to look at and revamp. And let's take a look at the situation and see where we're wasting funding.
Right.
Right. Where we could do a better job. What my opponent and her party tends to do is let's just cut that and start with this. Well, you don't pay attention. You don't put a plan together how to do that. And then you have that domino effect where it starts hurting people. I mean, she's talking about, increasing the minimum wage. Well, everybody should have a decent wage. But as a small business owner, do you realize what that does to a small Taco Bell, whether it's a franchise or
Sure.
hardware store, where you're paying part-time people a high wage? Your margins are going down. How do you survive? She's never had a business. I've had to tell my family many times over the 30-some years in business, this is a really tough month for us. We're not getting paid. I've got to pay my employees. If I don't pay my employees, I don't have a business, and we don't have the success that we've had. So sometimes you have to eat those. I remember going many times without a paycheck.
Sure.
And just making sure that my employees got paid. And I don't think she understands small business is what generates this economy. That will bring inflation down. That will bring jobs up. We need to bring incentives to this state. And I use the example of what happened with Amazon several years ago with AOC.
Right, that's right.
Long Island City. That would have brought 20,000 jobs to that local area, right, into the city. We turned that down because they're a big company who makes a lot of money. Why should we give them incentives? Well, that's what you do.
Right.
That's what a business person does. You make a deal. You bring in a business, you give them incentives, and you reap the benefits from that. And it all washes out over time, okay? And if you don't understand that, how can you run a government?
Right.
How can you successfully run a business? And we need, look at Trump. Trump's a business guy, okay? He understands how to run a business. You need to stand tall. And then you talk about us as a leader in this country, right? And somebody said to me, well, if Trump was the president, would we have what happened in Ukraine and what happened in Israel? I can't say for a fact that wouldn't happen, but what I could say is when he was president, we didn't have these problems. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned that after we win on Tuesday, what will happen in the next 2 months here? Okay? What are these actors, these foreign actors, just waiting to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to take advantage of a situation where we have a lame duck for 2 months? I mean, you already have North Korea working with Russia in Ukraine. We need to support our allies. We need to see Ukraine get stronger and get into NATO. We need to be 100% behind Israel because they're fighting for not just Israel but us, like I said before, and that's important.
When you've been, because you have put so many miles on the car and you've been to all these campaign stops, what is the number one concern that people bring to your attention?
I think economy.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's concerned about economy. Illegal immigration doesn't fall far behind because you go up into like the Erie, Niagara, the Western New York area, and you see a lot of situations up there. We have kids in the schools, and these poor neighborhoods, these poor cities, they have enough problem paying for their education and paying for their housing on their own. But now we're bringing in, I think Erie and Niagara had 500 illegal immigrants in the school system. That's a big strain on a school system.
It sure is.
They're small systems. And who's paying for that? And Adam said he was paying for it, and he pulled the money out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And now there's the latest thing is that they're bringing down out of upstate New York, they're going to take all the illegals out. But I think that's a volunteer thing.
Yeah.
First of all, why would you want to leave?
Right.
Why would you want to leave a great area like Erie or Niagara? Anywhere, why would you want to leave those areas? So I think that's just a lot of garbage. And again, we're a couple of days before Election Day. Will that still be here next week? I don't know.
Right. That's a good question. Well, before we go, where can people find out more about your campaign?
Sapraicone for Senate.com and get out there. We need your help. We're in the last couple, we're down to, I don't know, less than 48 hours
Yeah.
here. So, everybody, we did a great job in New York State getting out that early vote. So proud of us to do that. We got to get those absentee ballots in.
Yep.
And we got to get out there and vote. We got to drag all our friends, all our neighbors, all our relatives, make sure they go out and vote tomorrow. No voting today. Today's the day to prepare. And we'll be out there all over the place getting that done. But we need you to get out and vote. And I'm excited. And I look forward, Frank, to be your senator when you wake up on Wednesday morning.
Well, I look forward to it. I look forward to having you on the show as the senator. Right before we go, what would you say to voters before they head to the booth tomorrow?
Get out and vote common sense. Get out and vote common sense. Trump, Sapraicone, all your congressmen, all your Republican congressmen, and right down the line, because this is about grassroots. This is about those state senators, the state assemblymen, your local officials. They're the ones with common sense. They're the ones who are working hard for this great state of New York. And I love New York, and I'm so proud to be, so humbled to be the candidate. And Frank, always great to be up in Western New York in the Southern Tier and get to talk to you.
Well, it's great talking to you. And I got to say, your pens last a long time. I've
Great
been
pen.
using it every day.
Great. Well, they're great pens. And we'll make sure we get a lot more up to you once we win.
All right, perfect. Mike, thanks so much. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.